Avast ye landlubbers! Arr! We have to keep quiet because there's a man of war amongst us at all times. Arr! This is your Captain F&P student from Crimson University. Merciful Givens, because I believe in no mercy given. Arr, arr, arr. I have a patient that I was wanting to address with you this day. She is a young, bonny lass, Anglo-Saxon 16-year-old that came in for her check of the scurvy of the 7 C's, that be the diabetes that affects the sugar. Yarr. She was coming into the clinic because of a routine physical examination, when all of a sudden they found her blood sugar was over 387. Arr, arr, arr. They then assessed her urine to see if the mug of ale be in her and found that there was nothing but sugar running rampant through it. And she did an A1C that showed her levels of 5.8. Arr, arr, arr. That is off the scale as far as a diabetic is concerned. But she had never shown anything in her history that showed any kind of ailment that would behoove this type of condition. Nor did she have any type of social history that would warrant such a fact. Her only social history of significance was that she was a rum runner for the Woodruff High School, and she was constantly in peril as she took on other high schools in the same activity. But following this particular visit, she came into contact with needing to keep records of how her sugars were going, and after 1 weekend, she returned and her A1C was 13! Arr, blimey! Shiver me timbers, that's impossible to believe, but that is what the girl was subject to. Looking upon her log, at what was before us, we saw that her sugars were ranging between 264 and 288, with one spiking at over 400. Arr, arr. This was very indicative of something peculiar going on with the bonny lass. This is why we decided to bring her in again after subscribing her to some medications that she might need to control it better. Prior to this, she had never divulged being part of the rum of the ale or the mug of ale, nor had she ever been bitten by the pinch of the tiny tsetse fly nerve or the daylily branch. Because of these peculiarities with her lab levels, we decided to start assessing her systems and making sure that she was physically sound and well-being. We found that there was nothing wrong with her heart. It beat strong, yes, very strong. And then her lungs were clear of any type of fungus or any other thing. She moved all of her extremities with the utmost gusto, and she did not have any complaints of any other things with her mind or her cranium or any other aspect of her well-being. Her weight had actually gone down 15 pounds from the previous visit, now only 146.4 pounds. And on top of that, she was also showing that her blood sugar at this time was 187, which was absolutely outstanding. Her pulse was 72, her respirations were 20, and her blood pressure was 90/60. She had no other significant issues with her well-being. At this point, we decided to run also a C-peptide test on her to assess the possibility of type 1 or type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. Then we also decided to do a TSH level, just to make sure that there was no issues with her thyroid and possible hyperthyroidism as a result of these elevated insulin levels that could be predisposed. In the meantime, we had started her on Levemir, 20 milligrams, 20 units I should say. I'm sorry, I get that confused sometimes. But that's 20 units every night before she went to bed, and that she eats something good and hearty before she goes to sleep. Additionally, we started her on a Humalog pen to try and control with a sliding scale that she could regulate on her daily basis, and be sure to keep a journal of all activities and also what her sugars were on a daily-to-day basis. This proved to be very complicated with this young lass, because she wanted to hang out with her friends and try to avoid the scurvy. But she did try very hard. She kept a journal each day outlining when she ate, what her blood sugars were at that time. She even did it while she was laying out by the seaside as they were trying to bask in the sun of the immortal lass so that they would attract the young furry-faced men. But it proved not worthwhile after all. When she returned for her next follow-up visit, that's where she found that her blood sugars were ranging from 91 to 345. And sometimes she was not covering herself like she properly could. Also, she was hardy for a sausage biscuit, the likes of which has never been seen in this sea before. That's when we told her that triglycerides are heavily impactful on what she would do with her body if she became a diabetic. As such, we read her C-peptide levels that indicated she is in fact a diabetic type 1. Oh, and that if she does not take care of herself, then her next stop could be the black crushing oblivion of Davy Jones' locker. But alas, despite this impending news, we checked her blood sugar again, and this time it was 142 after not eating a thing. This was much improved over her previous 187 and of course the 400 that she received. We also saw her TSH levels were normal, and that her A1C, although still elevated, had improved as well. So the woman was making vast changes and making great successes in what she was attempting to achieve. So therefore, we decided to try and regulate her and send her to an endocrinologist by the middle of the month of March. But alas, this bonny lass had one more thing to tell us. During some of her running escapades, she said she was sometimes feeling weak beforehand and after. We had instructed her to always eat something high in protein or carbs beforehand to help her with her sugar issues, but she had not taken to our word or heeded the warnings. Arr! So therefore we reminded her to do as we said, or that the next step will be to hang her from the yardarm. Due to the way that the Levemir was affecting her, we decided to spread it out in 2 doses, 10 units in the morning and 10 units in the evening, and continue her sliding scale insulin as well. And with that, she seemed much approved and was happy that we told her for that day she could get her sausage biscuit that she was so amply looking forward to. But we would expect her back in 1 month, or yea, lo will fall upon her, and we would seek her out. But with that, I was wondering, what do you believe? Do you agree with what I've said? Savvy? But for now, I must bid you adieu, for the man of war has approached us, and it's time to do battle.